I read this thing recently that was like, I'm somewhere in between giving up and seeing how much more I can take. And I was trying to think of like where I was on that spectrum, and I'm not really sure, but what it got me realizing is that, but it got me thinking, have you ever found yourself chasing someone else's dream? I realized recently that I'm a person who has not really been very kind to themselves throughout my life. I haven't really felt any satisfaction or like of myself. Like no self love. I have a lot of like I'm very hard on myself. I've heard things throughout my life like hold yourself to your own expectations. No one will love you if you don't love yourself, and these are like things that people have told me, and it's not that I have a hard time looking at myself objectively. I think that I have a hard time valuing the things that I've done. And it's got me realizing that I've always been caught between like multiple different worlds. I'm not the type of person that focuses on one specific thing and then goes all in, except for a very specific part of my life. And I've realized that I've been searching for something that doesn't exist out in the world. It exists inside of me. And the problem is, and I hope this makes sense to at least somebody, but the problem is I've been chasing someone else's dreams. I've accomplished a lot of my own, but what set me on a trajectory that really changed my life was a plan set in motion by somebody that I loved very dearly. And the reality is, they've accomplished their goals. I realize that this isn't going to make a lot of sense unless I'm a bit more concrete. So I feel like everybody has dreams and goals, things that they want to accomplish. We have a vision of ourselves that we want to be. And the more true to yourself you are, as in the more clearly connected you are to your own values rather than the values of others or the structures that have been applied to us, like marketing and government and all the other things. So the more realistic you are with yourself, regardless of shame or any other kind of social standard that could hold you back from that, the closer you are to that, the easier it is to, or rather, the clearer the vision of who you want to be can be formed in your mind. If you have a vision of who you want to be, but it's clouded by other people, then, I mean, it's just that. It's muddied water. So the point I'm really getting at is the reason I am doing anything is because I want to self actualize. I want to create myself into the person that I want to be. But I've been chasing someone else's goals. I've had a lot of other ideas and dreams in my head. The core of what I've always wanted to accomplish, I've pretty much done. Like, I've wanted to make a card game. When I was young, I got exposed to the Pokemon TCG and then later Magic. I never really collected or anything like that. I just played the games with my friends, and I really enjoyed the mechanics of that. And for me, I always just wanted to make my own game like that. And I had made multiple of them, but I finally took like 7 years, and I got play tested with people, and I did all the things, and I could just publish the game right now if I wanted to. But it's not something that I necessarily really want to do right now. I wanted to make it digital, so I did that. And if you want to play it, you can. It's the link's in the description. And so I gained a skill set in order to accomplish a goal, right? That's sort of what I'm getting at. Like, what I want to do and what I do is I put a goal in front of myself because I want to obtain the skills required to complete that goal. I might not have them at the beginning, but I know that if I can complete the goal, then I will have the skills required. So that's how I taught myself how to code, and I ended up getting a job as a programmer in the slot industry, and I did that for 7 years. And again, I always wanted to make a physical card game, and I had been doing that. That's what I was doing with my life. And then I met this other person, and they wanted to code and make video games. And it's something that I always had been interested in, but considered myself unintelligent and not capable of doing that. I'm glad that I did, because it's opened myself up to a world beyond anything that I could have imagined. What I mean by that is it allowed me to explore the depths of my character and soul. It taught me that I can learn to teach myself. Because honestly, all of us can. That's what we're doing. When a teacher's yelling at you, telling you the things that they need to teach you, you're still organizing that information in your mind, committing it to memory, and figuring out ways to apply it to your personal existence. So you're still teaching yourself. I spent a lot of time doing game jams and countless nights without sleep trying to understand what I was doing. And I didn't have a lot of support, but I didn't also ask for it. But at the end of the day, I accomplished my goal, and I got a job, and I was able to support myself, and it was more money than I ever made in my life, and it was great. But it wasn't me, it wasn't like what I wanted. And when that person wasn't there anymore, I was working towards their goal again, and it wasn't our goal. We weren't doing it together. So it's taken me a long time to really like wrestle with that and realize and understand it. And so like After Earth Arcade is this concept in my mind of how can I self-actualize my own goals, my own visions. What am I? Who am I? And what will I become? This life is temporary, and we only have so much time. But that's what makes it meaningful. That's what makes it valuable. So for me, I think the journey is more about learning and gaining skills and abilities so I can be capable of accomplishing things. The problem is, like, when I took away making games, it just kind of like I didn't have anything else that I really wanted to do. And the only other thing I really love is mechanics and bikes, cars. I've never really had the opportunity to fully like dive in and work on cars before. I had a second gen RX-7 when I was younger, and it was hard to deal with. Like, it didn't know anything about it. To me, all cars were rotary engines because that was my car. That's it. That's all I really knew. And one day I took a trip to Colorado and it got towed and I lost it. And I bought a motorcycle, and I didn't really have cars after that. I ended up buying the Z31 because it looks like an FC, and rotaries are stupid expensive now. And, you know, I did purchase an RX-8 and, you know, took apart the engine. And this was before I really started doing YouTube stuff because I was trying to find myself again. The most fun I really feel like I had was cruising around in that FC. You know, there's like church parking lots everywhere here. So, you know, I'd rip in those and just have some fun. I would never like do that today. I'd want to get to a track and do it the right way, but nah, I don't even know that like, you know, time attack or drifting or really any of those things are something that I really want to do. You know, I want to drive my cars, but I'm a two wheels moves the soul, four wheels moves the body person. But like real wheel drive and drifting and driving on mountains is so much fun in a rear wheel drive car. And there's also other things that I want to do with the cars more than just like the driving aspect of it. You know, like I want to use the Arduino and program cool stuff, maybe even some like twisted metal style things. But that's gonna cost a lot of money and take a lot of time, and I'm not sure I'm here for it, you know? Like I want to do it, and that's what we're working towards. That's why I started the Speeduino project, and it's just that the Z31 is, you know, the the injectors don't have the right resistance, and the distributor doesn't work quite right with the way the Arduino or the Speeduino works, and there's just like problem after problem. And what I really want to do is like drive the car around. So I don't really know. I guess what I'm getting at is I'm focusing on trying to figure out how to incorporate my. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to figure out how to prioritize and organize my projects in a way that makes sense to me and also to YouTube. And I just want to be more genuine and more myself, and I want to grow and evolve past these self-doubt and the anxiety and over analyzing and the, you know, just the inability to really appreciate myself. And I just want to move past that, and I want to understand what it is that I can do, you know, like what. And I just want to move forward. You know, I want to get past this. I want to get unstuck and move forward. And recently I did a series where I started working out again, and that has helped motivate me. And I think part of my problem is trying to figure out how to structure everything for YouTube. You know, like I want to like fix a thing and then do it, but it's like lining it all up is difficult when you have, you know, like life is just hard or whatever. But that's not to make an excuse. It's like I just need it to make sense. I need to figure out what I need to do to make it make sense. So I think that brings us to like right now, where I have two things that I want to do. Like I want to take a really bad car and I want to make it running and driving well. And then I want to make it beautiful. And then I want to run it on a Speeduino. And then I want to integrate some of the technology I've been working on behind the scenes with it. Now, I have two cars. I have a Z31 and I have a AW11. My AW11 is automatic, and I don't like automatic cars. I want a manual car. But it's okay. What we want to do is focus first on the drivability. Then we can circle back eventually and modify it to be exactly what we want, or we can maybe someday in the future buy a manual AW11. But I mean, we're gonna manual swap it, because an automatic AW11 is like, you know, like I want to save this thing. It's not even really a car, right? No, I'm just kidding. So like I said, when I was younger, I was really into my FC. I love that car. I kind of like want to identify with my vehicle, you know, and I don't want to spend like the FD has always been like the dream, you know, but like everybody likes it now, and that's fair. And so I also am kind of like a hipster, you know. I want something that's like not everybody super into, but it still meets all my things, you know. And I think the AW11 is really like it for me. Someday I would love to drift the Z31, but I think our main goal is going to be to focus on getting the AW11 running well, and when we're stuck on it, we're gonna be working towards creating the wiring harness for the Z31. So we'll start with like the fuel pump, and you know, we'll just go real simple and we'll try to do one thing at a time. So I guess what I'm saying is I really want to start to create a mix of less structured content with more structured content. So like in between the structured videos, we'll have the less structured videos to kind of move me forward. I really want to try to daily vlog, but everybody says it's so hard, and I can see how it would be extremely difficult. So I don't know. So I guess that's the plan, is to try to create videos around the AW11 that are less structured and just focused on getting it running and cleaned up, and then we will try to focus on creating structured videos around the Z31 that are geared towards the wiring and the Speeduino. So yeah, I guess so that's basically where we're at. The Z31 is going to be a long time coming before I can really run it on the Arduino or the Speeduino. So we're gonna keep trying to chip away at that. But my main focus is this car. This car's like for me, and I really need to do something for me. Because I love this car's awesome. I only bought it because it was dirt cheap, and it, like I mentioned before, I want to put a project in front of myself, so the person I am on the other side is closer to the person that I want to be. And I feel like this car has everything that I need in order to learn all of the skills that I want. But it's not gonna be drivable in a year unless I can somehow come up with like a ton of money. And that's just, you know, it's just unrealistic. So what I want to do is, if I can, get this thing running and running well. I do have a major concern. We recently replaced the bracket. I'll show you in a second. If we have it set up correctly, this is how it should go into the car. Maybe they're flipped around, I'm not sure. We'll find that out when we actually install it. And I think that I think the chassis might be warped. Like, The bar was twisted. I'll post a picture. In the meantime, I want to start with and I don't know, it's missing two bolts. They just weren't in the chassis. So once I get those two bolts, we can try to see if it's twisted or not. I mean, if it is twisted, I guess we just part it out and look for another one and just, yeah. So yeah, after I decided to quit my job at Arrow, and like basically I decided that I didn't want to program anymore as a day-to-day thing. You know, I didn't really like being stuck behind a desk all day, and on top of that, it's like you're always at the whim of your designers and people who don't really understand the code base, and you know, it's just another job. It's just a source of income. It's what you know, there's a big bonus behind like doing the thing that's like that you're trying to level up. But again, once I realized I was chasing someone else's dreams, it wasn't really an option anymore. It became so difficult to even want to continue to work. And I have a ridiculous work ethic. You can read my LinkedIn if you want. I When I commit myself to a job, I put all of myself in. And, you know, I like having something that I can obsess about that takes my entire brain, because there's that little voice in the back of my head that's always putting me down. So if I'm completely consumed in something, it goes away. And yeah, I would like to transition the YouTube channel into that instead. But I needed some form of income. So, you know, I bought the Yaris and started doing DoorDash, which, you know, is like like less than half of my previous income. But I don't need a lot. You know, I don't I don't need a lot. You know, I want to build this car, you know, and like once this car is done, it's gonna be cheap to insure. It's I would have built it so I would know how to fix it when it breaks. And so I guess while I am trying to figure out the next stage of my life, well, so then I guess for me to wrap it all up, I have a card game that I've made that I'm working on someday creating a physical version of that you might be able to purchase. You can check out my digital card game and the link in the description. And I will be working towards developing other interesting products. So that's what After Earth Arcade is about. It's about BK getting his heart back and helping me self actualize. If you've spent any time with me on any of my videos, I love you. You've given me more than most people ever have. And we are in these like extremely uncertain times. If you're struggling with anything or you have goals that you're trying to accomplish, put the comp please put it in the comments, and let's try to build a community of positivity around self-love, self-actualization. The clutch on the Yaris is slipping, so we're gonna have to replace that soon. I think you I think it's fair to say to expect that video and some more MR2 content. The Speeduino content is coming. We will likely be running the MR2 on the Speeduino rather than the Z31, but we'll see what happens. Keep striving for your own personal goals, and I'll see you in the next one.